Hello everybody, it's me, Steal Everything. This is a bit of a different video. Not as memey as a lot of my other ones. This is a relatively serious thing. I want to talk about a show that I binge watched yesterday that really fucked with me, and you can kind of take this as a review as well as just like a general opinion thing, me talking about what I think about it. But it was a show called Baby Reindeer, and the concept of this show is a comedian that's doing like kind of shit. You know, they're just trying to get by. Making some weird noises over here. Just trying to get by, trying to make a living. Mostly just living off of other people, trying to get his foot on the ground in the industry. And he works at a bar as a job because, you know, comedy's not going to pay your bills. At least not starting off. And this woman is at his, comes to his bar one night, and she's crying, and he asks her if she's going to buy anything, and she simply just says, no, I can't afford it, and, you know, he then, goes to, say it's on the house. He gets her, I think just like a Coke or something. Whatever the case, she enjoys it and she smiles, and you know, she starts to come in every single day, and he kind of caters to her, I would say. He continues to give her the drinks on the house. She begins to, you know, kind of express all of this bullshit about her being a lawyer, which is a half-truth as it's revealed later in the series, or not even much later, like within this first episode. So it's a question as to why, if she's a lawyer, why is she not able to afford just like a cheap drink at a bar? But she continues to come to the bar. Every time she does, she dresses up in more makeup, looking more pretty, wearing a nice outfit, and then she somehow gets access to the man's Gmail and begins to Gmail him hundreds of times a day, because even after confessing to her that he only wants to be friends with her, she continues to pester him, and she's a stalker. That's what the show is about. A woman that he shows an inkling of kindness to turns out she's a serial stalker that has been convicted multiple times prior to the you know, show, and he's her new target, right? So this kind of goes on, and the rest of the show is him kind of trying to navigate through it. He clearly has his own kind of issues with anxiety and trauma, which isn't really elaborated till the halfway point of the show. But it is such an incredible fucking experience. It is so dark. It is so unfiltered. Episode 4 is probably the most out there episode. That's the one that kind of goes back into his past and kind of unveils all of his trauma. It kind of explains his situation and as to why, even after 6 months, he never reports this woman to the police. And when he eventually does, he leaves a lot of integral information out, partially because, as one character says to him, he almost enjoys it. He is an incredibly broken person, and despite this stalker being almost an exclusively negative impact on his life, he can't really live without her. And she is obviously with her own insane issues. At one point she attacks his girlfriend and pulls her fucking hair out, even. Like, she's a ballistic, terrible human being, but a lot of it isn't really her fault, as she is very obviously mentally ill. And the show just does a really good job at making it uncertain as to whether or not every character is good or bad, is in the right of things. There are two characters that are pretty blatant in which side that is, and that is, in his backstory, there's a man who sexually abused him when he was starting to get into comedy, he is objectively a piece of shit garbage man that set our main protagonist on this terrible path that he is on, which leads to him making these terrible decisions, such as continuing to feed into this woman's fantasies about him, but also sending her mixed messages like, hey, I'm not interested, I don't want any part of this, but then still continuing to listen to her and to cave in. It's so dark and it's so twisted and it feels so real, especially given the fact that this show is actually, I don't know if I mentioned the name, I'm pretty sure I did, Baby Reindeer. It's based off of real events, and the creator of the show is also the star and the writer, and this show is about his personal experience. So it seems to me that this show really is like a passion project for the man, him kind of breaking out and expressing a lot of the things in his personal life that are really fucked up. And you gotta respect the guy, because this show does not sugarcoat anything. At no point in the show, or I mean, at a very few points in the show, is our main protagonist really shown off as in the right of things. You feel bad for him, but he still continues to make decisions that only push him even further into the shit that he's in. The show is a fucking roller coaster. It is one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in my life in terms of like a show. It's not very long. Each episode's only about 30 minutes, and there's 7 episodes. It's a wild ride. I binged through all episodes in one day, and it was so captivating. I saw it on Netflix on like just the recommended stuff as a limited series, and I was intrigued. I was like, okay, this looks interesting. I saw briefly, I looked at the description talking about how this is a show about a guy with a stalker, and I was like, okay, I can see a stalker being an interesting plot point to kind of drive a series. And it started as just something mildly interesting to something that was so intensely captivating that I couldn't not stop watching. I was up until like 1:30, 1:40 in the morning watching the show because I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop. It is the right amount of hopeful and depressing and intriguing and mysterious and terrifying. It is a terrifying show because it, especially given the fact that it's based off of a real story, I do believe that a lot of the stuff in this show is obvious since it's a show. It's obviously kind of extrapolated and changed. For example, the main character, the actor playing the main character is not playing exactly themselves. They're playing a different version of themselves that has like a little bit of an altered backstory, it seems, that isn't entirely accurate to what he actually went through. But I imagine it's close enough to where it's practically the same thing. It's a very traumatic show, very complicated. The acting is phenomenal. Martha is the character of the stalker, who is this really obese Scottish woman who's very charming at times and terrifying at others. I forgot the name of the actor who plays her, but she is fucking phenomenal. She played, like, within the first 10 minutes of the first episode, she's already established as one of the most extravagant characters I've seen in a show like this. She's able to swap between aggressive and putrid of a person to very sweet and almost pathetic you feel pity for this person. You feel bad for them. Even towards the end of the series when things are getting concluded between the two and she's kind of, justice is being served in this scenario, you feel bad for her because she's ill. She's a mentally ill woman that can't really control her impulses. And it just so happens that she's preying upon a guy who happens to be the most insecure person in the goddamn world. A broken man who doesn't understand his sexuality. He doesn't understand himself in the slightest. But he still pursues this goal of his, being a comedian, because it's one of the few things that makes him feel good. Being in the spotlight, making people smile, making people laugh. And that's what he does to this stalker woman. I think that's one of the reasons why the relationship works out the way it does in the show, is because he makes mild jokes with her and she laughs so fucking hard, and it scratches this itch in him where he's affecting somebody on a personal level that impacts him directly. And it's just insane how good the writing is. Mad respect to the creator of the show. Forgot his name. I'm terrible with fucking names. I believe the character he plays as is named Donnie. But man, every character, spot on acting, spot on writing. This isn't a show that I would recommend if you have a light stomach? Is that how they say? It has some incredibly dark themes. There are some scenes that are so hard to sit through. I'm pretty mild when it comes to stuff. I'm able to sit through a lot of fucked up shit. I've seen plenty of fucked up movies and videos. So I'm able to swallow it, but some people definitely can't. It is very dark, and it really requires you to be prepared to see some fucked up shit. The trauma that these characters have gone through, the complicated way that they navigate with their lives and their relationships with each other, it feels very real. It feels too real at times. It's terrifying, but it's captivating, and I couldn't stop watching it. So whatever random motherfucker watches this video, or one of my friends who's being nice to watch it because you're nice, I would recommend it. Of course, under those circumstances that you're willing to swallow the fucked up shit that this show's going to throw down your throat. It starts off very humbly, almost like it feels like a comedy, almost kind of funny and strange, just because the first like 2 or 3 episodes, it's almost exclusively the main character and Martha and their interactions, him getting himself into the situation and then quickly realizing that it's a bad decision, trying to retract from it, but then continuing to go back into it. He's manipulating himself almost as much as Martha is manipulating him. There's a lot of manipulation. There's a lot of fucked up shit going on. Whatever the case, again, it just feels real, and it's serious. This is a very serious show. I like watching very serious things that cover incredibly dark topics like this. I saw Poor Things recently at the beginning of this year, and that was fucking phenomenal. That movie is very similar in that whole like kind of character analysis and mentality of how people work, which is my favorite thing. My favorite concept that's explored in any kind of film or show is something that explores people on a very personal, psychological level. And that's exactly what Baby Reindeer. I did not expect the show to be as good as it was. And I might make a follow-up video, maybe later today, maybe not. I do have other things to do. But that does discuss like more spoilery things, that gets into the more specific, because there's so much shit that I want to talk about with this show. But I mainly just wanted to get a video out there talking about my general opinion about it, and maybe to help more people know about this show, and just as a way to relay what I feel about it. I highly, highly recommend this to most people. Again, hard to sit through. I also watched Black Swan like last week. That movie is really fucked up. Also really good. Natalie Portman's in that one. And Mila Kunis. Good movies, good shows, but this show kind of inspired me to make a video. I don't know why. Maybe I'll do the same thing in the future with other movies or TV shows that I watch. There are a plethora of shows and things and even video games that I invest myself into, and I might start doing that more. I intended to do a video about Scorn recently, but I kind of ended up opting out of it because I didn't like the process of writing a script. This video, obviously, it should be obvious, this is not a scripted video in any way. This is all on the spot. I just decided to start recording, so maybe I'll just do that with Scorn now, upon like a replay of it, because it's not a very long game and I pretty much know how to get through it all. But look forward to that, maybe. And maybe some more Mimi videos. Whatever. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. And I hope to see you in another video. Be sure to check out Baby Reindeer. It's on Netflix. I believe it's a limited series, so it's probably going to be on for another few months, maybe. I have no idea. Whatever the case, fantastic show. Absolutely recommend it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the future.